Yes, you are, Terry.
We moved that over there so we get you
Yeah,
specifically.
get you smiling.
You got
So-
the camera reversed?
So we're gonna do something different this morning. Not that it was that bad, but it got a little rowdy last Sunday. So we are gonna take prayer requests, and one at a time would be good. Okay? So we need to be praying for Linda and Jim Pullick. Both of them have COVID. I heard that Beverly Ingram is sick. I'm not 100%. I heard COVID, but I don't know about that because that'd be the second, maybe third time that she's had it. So,
It's not verified yet.
yeah, I don't think it's verified. Your preacher's back today. I heard Charlotte talking about Gary. She said he's doing well. He knows her. He's watching TV and talking smack, I think, is kind of what I heard. I mean, that's kind of what I heard. Anybody else prayer request? Good to have Warren back today. Go ahead, Rusty.
Cousin Steve Ballou, he was diagnosed this past week with lung cancer.
Steve Ballou.
Yeah. B-A-L-L-E-W.
What?
I don't know how they spell it that way, but that's it.
B-E-L-L-E-W? E-W. I would have thought U-W. Anybody else? Betty?
My daughter took another COVID test because she thinks she might have COVID.
She thinks she might have COVID?
Well, she's out in the county. She works for Harris County, and so she thinks she might have contracted it somewhere.
What's her name?
They're just doing the test. They're doing the test on her now.
You're on.
Who else?
Becky Van.
Oh, my sister-in-law Becky. Matter of fact, my sister-in-law Becky Irvin and her sister, don't tell me, Sherry Daugherty. Man, it happens that's what happens when you get as old as you
I'm not the one stuttering, you are.
are. You ain't had to talk yet.
That's right.
Who else?
It's better to.
Les, how we going back there?
Daniel's still having struggles. He's still having falling every now and then when he's trying to work with just one leg. They're hoping that he doesn't hit the nub so that it doesn't prolong the time frame before they can get him for a prosthetic. But he's got to go at least 2.5 or at least 2 more months of healing before they'll even start looking at doing a prosthetic. So he just needs prayer to continue to help lift him up. And my sister Becky, she's doing better. She's gradually healing up, so a little slow process, but she's getting there as well.
Yeah, that healing process kind of slows down when we get a little older, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you said something, go ahead, Jenny.
Jesse, he had to have a procedure done, and him and the kids are at my house. He thought he would recover a lot faster, but it's going a lot slower than he thought. So,
Yeah,
How we
I'll
doing
keep-
back here? You got them?
Yeah, Les has an update on Becky from the fire department, is that right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just last night that she's gonna be in the hospital for about 5 or 6 more days. At least she's on oxygen, but not ventilated. Okay, and that she's resting, and Bowie said when he talked to her, he was able to understand her better than what she had been. So it seems like she's showing some improvement. But that's about the last update we got. It's gonna be a slow process.
Yep.
The Tupas are good. I talked to Heather the other day. They're
Yeah, but the other two on it, Robin and Mike.
yeah.
Robin's sick. Robin Tupa is really sick. She's been down for about 16 days and it's
With
not
COVID?
much with COVID. Not much better.
Yeah.
I talked to her yesterday.
Yeah, Heather and Jeremy are doing okay.
Yeah, I saw Heather yesterday.
And then keep Joanne in your prayers. She's still having issues after surgery from not her back, just intestinal issues. Can't seem to find out
Last
what it
week you
is.
had talked about Steve that had passed out and he was hit his head and is he better? It was
No,
Steve
no.
and Linda you asked us to pray for.
That's right. Steve fell fractured his skull. They had to put a bolt in there or whatever. Had a brain bleed, but the last I heard, which was a couple of days ago, he's doing better. He was unconscious for several days,
Right.
but I think he's awake now, and he's talking to Linda, his wife. So I'm gonna Valverde. Was that it? What was his last name? I think that was it.
Yeah.
I also have a first cousin, Geneva, that fell and broke her hip. She's been in and out of the hospital for the last four weeks, and they found out she's got cancer of the blood.
Mm.
And I can't remember the name of it, but the only treatment is chemo, and she's not gonna do that. She's gonna be 92. So just keep her in your prayers. She's been in a lot of pain.
Okay. Les, would you pray for us, please?
Dear gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for another day of life, Lord. Lord, continue to watch over us as we go our different ways, Lord. Lord, lift up the ones that have been mentioned this morning. There's several of them this morning that need your touch, Lord. Watch over them and just with your healing touch. You are the mighty healer, Lord. Lord, bless this nation, Lord. The struggles that this nation's having as well, Lord. This COVID thing. Go ahead and eradicate that thing, get rid of it, Lord. And Lord, just continue to watch over us as we go our separate ways, Lord. There's some also out there today, but let him be found. Don't let him go away untouched, Lord. Watch over us, lead, guide, and direct us, Lord, for your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
So we're in 1 Kings 17, verses 17 through 24. So let me read a couple of verses, and then we'll get. Les, you want to look up James 1, 2 through 4,
Okay.
and be ready to read that here in a little bit, and then I'll get you to read a little bit when I get through. Oh, by the way, that's my second most favorite granddaughter over there. And that's Nick.
She looks like a number one to me.
Well,
Number
you
one-
gotta understand, he stays confused, because he don't know which one it is. He told me number one. Now he's changed.
No, I have a number one. The number one granddaughter put her name in my phone as my most favorite granddaughter. Your most favorite granddaughter. Well, she's my first most famous granddaughter. She's my second most favorite, not famous, but favorite granddaughter. Then I have a third. Then there's them three knuckleheads. Sometimes I don't even want to claim them. See y'all right up there, baby, them boys. Don't know so much about them.
Yeah, and I'm just the opposite. I got one granddaughter, and everything else is boys.
If y'all don't know my second daughter, Tamara, there she sits right
Yeah,
back there.
spitting image.
Not so much that, just like her mother. God bless her, man. 1 Kings 17, verse 17. It came to pass after these things that the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, fell sick. And in his sickness was so sore that there was no breath left in him. He died. And she said, now, I know there's no way this lady's a Baptist, because they didn't have Baptists back then. But she could have been. Okay? And she said unto Elijah, What have I to do with thee, O thou man of God? Art thou come unto me to call my sins into remembrance and to slay my son? Everything was good until something bad happened. And I know good and well, none of us in here, when bad things happen, I hope by this time that we don't blame the Lord for it. But, I mean, we could blame the preacher. Matter of fact, y'all go ahead.
Y'all go ahead.
Why, he gets sick of me doing it. I mean, you know, and that's exactly what she did. I mean, she blamed the man of God. The question, I think the big question in the lesson today, and we've heard this before, but how do we react and what do we do when circumstances hit us, certain circumstances? We have troubles, we have problems. Do we run to the Lord or do we run away from the Lord? Tell them, Brandon, it's their turn.
That's your turn. That's your part.
Do we run to the
Run
Lord
to
or do
the
we run
Lord.
away from the Lord? Let's be honest.
I think sometimes we run away from the Lord.
There's a difference between what you should do and what you do.
Yeah,
Try to fix it yourself. Well, I'm staying with him because
that's
he's
what I was
my
gonna say.
Say it, well, come out. Do what?
I'm staying with him because he's my only hope.
Absolutely right.
I'm gonna go with Warren.
Mark.
No, I think it was Betty said something. I don't know so much that we run from him, because I think in the back of our mind by now we figured out he's the only chance we have. He's the only hope we have. There is no hope without him. But I think we tend to win, even as we get older, and maybe more so as we get older, we tend to think we can fix it.
Right.
And
I don't know that
we-
has anything to do with
we-
age. I think
we-
that's
we-
just,
well, now I think when you're younger we just ignore him.
yeah,
When we get older, we just tend to think we can fix
we
it.
can fix anything.
And I mean, I know I've been guilty of it. I mean, I know when she got sick, I told her, I said, I can't fix it, but I can. It's not me that can fix it, it's him that can fix it.
Right.
And when we realize that, we understand that, I think in the lesson, in the writer of the lesson brought out a pretty good point. If you look at, again, I'm pretty sure, I have a really good note where I did a little bit of study on circumstances. It's not in this Bible. I'm gonna have to get all my stuff switched out of my other Bible. But the point is when the circumstances happen, and they're gonna happen, there's no way out of it. There's nowhere in this Bible that you're gonna find that we're not gonna be tested. And when we realize that a circumstance or something that's going wrong in our life, it is a test. Well, wait a minute. I've served the Lord faithfully. Why does he want to do that to me? Well, I don't know. It says in John that when we get to heaven, that we're not going to ask him any questions, because I had this list of questions. You know what I'm saying? She's over there laughing at me. I had a list. And then I read John in that verse says, and Jesus told him, guys, when you get there, you won't ask me any questions. I'm pretty sure he's right. So I'm going to find him other guys. And I'm going to ask Job. I said, Job, did you ever figure it out? Did you understand why the Lord did what he did, or why the Lord allowed the devil to do what he did? And all you have to do is get in the book of Job and find out he's going to test us. Because the Lord even tells Satan, you're not going to find a better guy than Job. He tells him, go ahead, go get him.
Job's my man.
He said, he's the guy. You won't find one better than him. But you go after him. He said, the devil says, if you let me have him, I'll turn him on you. But it didn't work. Boy, I love that. It was a good fight. But I'm thinking poor Job had to be asking questions. And if you look at this little lady, what is she doing? It says, if you looked at the lesson and study of the lessons we've been having, it says that God sent him into a place where he was going to be in the biggest danger. Right under the nose of Jezebel. Right under the nose of Ahab. Send him in there. And he did. Put him right underneath the enemy. Why? Because God was going to protect him. And if you look at the situation, here he goes. Here Elijah ends up in the house of a widow woman. Her husband's died. She's got a young son. She told him last week, it wasn't last week, it's probably several thousand years ago. She told him, she said, I got a little bit of flour and a little bit of oil. That's all I got. We're going to fix up. I'm going to make a cake for me and my son, and we're going to go in there and sit down and die. Elijah says, go fetch me some water. I'm sure.
No, go fetch me.
Well, first it was
Yeah.
water. I'm sure she wanted to slap him. And she did. Then when he comes, she says, go fix me a cake. Make me some food. And bring it to me first. I don't think that, I guarantee you, well, I'm not going to say her, but if I did that to my mother, I probably wouldn't be here today teaching this lesson. But she did what she was asked to do. So she's suffering with the loss of a husband. She's suffering through a drought, okay? So she has no husband. She has one son. And when she loses him, what happens to her?
She gives up hope.
She gives up hope. She does. You weren't in here a minute ago, Melissa. It would never be you. But I said, I don't think there was Baptists back in those days, but she could have been. I mean, she just lost. Here's the thing. Melissa said she gave up hope. Why did she give up hope? What was the importance? She's lost her husband. She has one son. She loses him. What's the problem back in those days?
No one to share for her.
Her son was her
She'd
last
be
hope.
alone. There
She-
would be
she-
no one around.
She'd be alone, but she has nobody left to take care of her.
Her son was her last hope of having anybody to take care of her.
Physically. That's not even true. Not physically, nor mentally, nor spiritually.
Right.
To her, it was,
To
that
her,
was her last
that was her
hope.
last hope.
Well, and what does she do? We just read it. What does she do? The very man that she's been and I think I mentioned this last Sunday. You got a good example. I'm going to just break it down the way the author broke it down. She has the man of God living in her house. Okay? And she's taking care of him. Does that tells us something. That's how we should treat a man of God. Okay? So now she's looking at the man of God. Her husband's gone, the drought's hit, now her son's died, and she turns around and she fires off on him.
She goes to him though. She may accuse him, but she goes to him.
That's right. That's right. She went to him and unlike us, she said, what are you doing? My husband's gone, there's a drought, now my only son is gone. What are you doing? You trying to bring my past sins up? Did y'all catch that? And she said unto Elijah, what have I to do with thee, O thou man of God? Art thou unto me to call my sin, into remembrance and to slay my son? She's blaming herself for her past sins because her son's died.
Everything.
Everything. We've
Her
never
husband,
done that, right?
Everything.
Everything that's happened to her, she thinks it's because of her past sins. We haven't ever done that, right? Raise your hand if you've never done that. Oh, I gotta put my.
And then grab hold of this chair.
I'm gonna grab hold of the chair in case
Hang on to
like Elijah's gonna do later on, in case I get elevated.
Yeah.
That's probably not gonna happen with me.
No,
No, I think what's gonna happen, I don't know what you're laughing at.
no.
There's a
I'm
big-
laughing because I'm right there with you.
There's a big old bench up there at the pearly gates, and I'm gonna be sitting on that bench probably till she gets there. And I'm gonna have to stay there, and Peter's gonna go like, you just sit right there until we let you know.
We're not sure about you yet.
As soon as we got a room available, we'll let you in.
We have a special room for you.
That's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. You wanna read something?
Yeah, why not? Can't be any worse.
Could be.
And he said unto her, Give me thy son. And he took him out of her bosom and carried him up to a loft where he abode, and laid him upon his own bed. And he cried unto the Lord, and said, O Lord my God, hast thou also brought evil upon the widow with whom I sojourn, by slaying her son? And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times, and cried unto the Lord, and said, O Lord my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again.
So, hey, Les, read James 1, 2, and 3, and 4. James 1, 2, 3, and 4.
My brother,
Did you want to read that, Pam?
Okay.
okay. Now get turned back. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing.
So James is telling us, and I forgot to do that before I tell you. James is telling us right there, hey, Hey, when bad things happen to you, rejoice. That's just like, isn't that an oxymoron?
I'm not sure.
We're morons, I don't think. So, he says, this is the best way I can tell you. I'm not gonna tell a name, so it doesn't matter. Okay?
Okay.
So I was asked to pray with a guy the other day, or we were praying with several people. Did I say this? Did I tell y'all this already?
Yeah.
No, Bible study group I did, I think.
No, you did here too.
I did?
Yeah.
About the patients? They don't remember. I got a good problem. A guy asked me, said, I don't have any patience. Would you pray for me? And I told him, I said, well, let's both get down here on our knees because I don't have any either. So we can both work on it. I'm thinking that if that ever happens to me again, we're just going to do a group prayer. I'm going to turn around and ask everybody that says, like, does anybody in here have any patience? Just raise your hand if you have patience, because if you don't, y'all all need to get up here and let's pray, because we don't have any. And he's saying, James is telling us, he says, these circumstances, these trials require patience. And that's probably the least thing that we have.
What's the purpose of a trial? What's the purpose of a tribulation? Why do we go through them? Why do we have to go through them?
Bring us closer to the Lord.
To teach us.
To teach us, right? Remember, our entire life, from the moment we're saved until we get to heaven, what's happening? There's a process, sanctification process. Sanctification process can be looked at like a purifying process, like refining gold. You run it through heat, you heat it up and put it through the fire. And all the impurities get burned out of it, moved out of it, and what you have on the other side is a purer version of what went into the fire. Same thing for us. You go through the trials and you come through the trial. You trust in Him and come through the trial, you come through stronger. If you don't, you're probably going to go through another trial again.
The author of the lesson, and this, I don't know about y'all, but this works for me, because it's the only thing that I've seen so far that requires me, that will make me stop and think.
Bluebell.
Oh, Bluebell, yeah, absolutely. Y'all know today's Bluebell Sunday, right? Every Sunday. I'm gonna say it this way. I gotta be careful. My granddaughter's sitting here. If you knew me when, I only knew one way to respond to you, and that was with my mouth, and it wasn't good. Somewhat a little bit better now, because when I see, if you can step back fast enough, and I'm getting older, so I'm slowing down.
Yeah.
When somebody does something that's just kind of off color to you, if you can make yourself not retaliate instantly, like I used to do and still do sometimes, but if you could just step back, if we can just take a deep breath and step back, and then look at that not as a circumstance, not as a bad thing, but look at that as an opportunity. And I heard that thought was given to us. It's been a while, but even at work, when you have bad situations, if you can step back away from the situation, the circumstance, and look back and say, okay, I have an opportunity here. Where's it at? When we can start looking at life's problems and trials and people that we don't get along with as an opportunity instead of a retaliation. And that's easy to say. I had a hard time saying that, but it's not easy. It's not easy to do.
What did Elijah do?
He could have
lady
retaliated.
Well, he could. This lady, she just threw down on him. Here I've given you everything I've got. I've done everything you've asked me to do. You're the man of God. And you're going to take my son away from me. She just threw down on him. Now, if you remember him in the beginning of the chapter, what was the first thing we read about him doing? He went in and threw down on Jezebel. Didn't pull any punches, threw down on them, right? Told them just exactly how the cow was gonna eat the cabbage. He spent how long at the spring? 3 years?
There's somewhere between the time he goes to the spring and somewhere in this process right here, he's gonna spend about 3.5 years.
About 3.5 years. So 3.5 years he's been learning. He was at the spring. God was hiding him. He was removed from people. God removed his word from everybody by moving him there. And this whole time he's learning. So when this lady threw down on him, what did he do? Or what did he not do?
He didn't retaliate.
He didn't retaliate.
He went to the Lord.
He went to the Lord and took it
In
as
prayer.
an opportunity.
And you know what, it said he bowed down on him 3 times. I don't necessarily think that was instantaneously answered. That he had to go to the Lord 3 times.
Yeah, there.
And that's my feeling on it.
But you know what, Jenny, you're bringing up a good point. If you look at what's said there, he stretched his body out over that boy. He stretched his body, and he did it 3 times.
And he went against a Jewish custom
That's
doing
right.
that because he was unpurifying himself.
Unclean thing.
It
Dead
was
thing's
an
unclean.
unclean thing.
And so you got a man. See, here's the thing. We always want to try to put God in a box, and he just don't belong there. There's no boxes big enough. Because we think that we have certain ideas and things with the way we think, because people want to take a look. They want to take a look at this Bible and take everything. I'm going to say this real slow. They want to take a verse and take just that verse and just take it literally. There's always application. There's always content. You've got to look at the whole picture. And when you see Elisha, there's all kind of things going on that's against tradition, okay? When you see Elisha, even go in the room with that boy, okay?
Grabbed
And then
him,
stretch his
he
body
grabbed
out.
him. He grabbed him.
I mean, it says in the Old Testament, you get into Exodus and Deuteronomy and things like that, it tells, don't go around, don't eat anything, don't go near anything that's dead, it's unclean. He broke all the rules. I want to point out a couple of things too. I'm going to remind y'all of something that I said last Sunday, and it's worth repeating. Not that I said it, it's just worth repeating because it's good information. I asked y'all, and it was on the board. Is there something similar in this? When I told y'all, when we were talking about, and we just said it again, Elijah was going through a 3.5-year process of training. The Lord was training him. Did I tell you, I asked you a question, was there somebody in the New Testament that did the same thing, that the Lord did the same thing with? It was Paul. Paul, to be an apostle, you have to walk and physically and spiritually be taught by the Lord, okay? By Jesus. Paul's walking, teaching, and training with Jesus came in about a 3 to 3.5 year span of where he's in the desert being trained. And if you go to Galatians chapter 1, about verse 6 or 7, in the next several verses, Paul will tell you that. He says, I was in the desert for some 3 year span. If you look in James, there was a verse I gave you last week. It'll tell you that Elijah went through this 3.5 year period. I'm saying all this to say this. God takes and trains people and teaches people. That was a good point that Gene made up. Did y'all notice in the lesson, did you notice anything in the lesson about where Elijah was living? He was staying in the widow, but he was staying with the widow and her son, but where was he staying? Upper room.
With an outdoor access.
Yes. Nothing, I'm trying to, I can't see Melissa at all. I'm trying to remember, and I can't remember whether it was DL or whether it was Timmy. He did a whole series and a whole lesson about the houses, and it might have been out of Nehemiah. Okay? The houses back in those days were built in a certain way. And they had an updoor, the roof was used as an outdoor sitting area, a resting area, because you get up there and there'd be a cool breeze, they'd go eat up there. But he was staying in a room that was above the house, that had entrance and exit above the house, to where he didn't have to go back through the house. Why would he be doing that? Take a guess. Come on.
Think about it, he's staying with a widow
You're
woman.
staying with a widow woman.
Her reputation,
Her reputation.
Whose reputation?
both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I need to quit doing this. I'm a Baptist and I'm proud of it. We wouldn't ever look at the preacher
He's
up there.
talking to you.
We would never look at the preacher going, he's living with a woman. We would never do that, right? We ought to never want to do it, but we nor a preacher nor anybody else we ought to never put ourselves in that position. Never.
It's called judging.
Why?
It's called judging.
Abstain from the appearance of evil.
That's right. Say it again, Terry. Can you say that again?
Abstain from the appearance of evil.
That's right. Why?
It's just not good.
There you go.
It's not good. Good, bad, or indifference. If we are what we profess to be, then we need to look like it. We need to look like it. We need to act like it. We need to be it. And I don't know why. I do know why. I was going to say I don't know why the author of the lesson brought that out, but it's a good point to bring out.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't really thought about that, but I did as soon as, and Brad brought it up, as soon as he went in that room with that dead young man, he was breaking all the traditions, every one of them.
There's so many.
Shouldn't even have been in that room with him.
It's real easy, and I did this. I read the verses, and it's real easy just to read, okay, well, you know, he's staying with her, he died, he went in, he took the kid, he took him up, he prayed to God, God brought him back, yada, life is good. There's so many other lessons in these few verses that's happening, and this is an example of it. Example of how Elijah had grown through his 3 years of study. He didn't retaliate. He took it as an opportunity. There's so many things that happen in here, and I'm glad the author here broke it down, because I don't know that I would have seen it without that. The lesson pointed out some good things. There was a whole lot more going on here than just what was on the surface. A lot more.
One of the things, and to Brad's point, he's bringing it up. It's said that when he went in there with Ahab and Jezebel, that he just broke into the room, threw down on them, accused them of all their sins, and just slam dunked them so bad.
He told them, it's not going to rain until I say it's going to.
But he did it in such a way, and it was so bad that when he got through chewing them out, he just walked out the door. They were so dumbfounded that they didn't know what to do. Now that's how bold he was. Should we approach Christ the same way?
Yes.
It says to approach him boldly. And that's one of the points that the writer of the lesson said. As Christians, we need to be bold. It's Hebrews. I'm going to do it again. It's in Hebrews. It's where it says go boldly through the throne. It's not like we don't have a high priest that knows everything about us, because we do. It says that we can. And I always look at that verse because it says that we can go boldly to Christ, because he knows us. There's a difference between boldness and arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot of difference between that. And I believe when it says in those verses to go boldly, like Elijah went into that room boldly, he could have done the same thing with the widow, because she threw down on him unjustly. But he didn't. And he didn't ask any questions. He said, well, wait a minute now. I can't go up there in that room with that dead person because that's unclean. He went straight up in there. Because at this point in time, I think like Brad said, he's had about 3 years worth of learning, and he knows that God's trying to teach him something. And right now, it's like I think it says in the lessons, he didn't really give it a second thought. I was going to say, go ahead, Smitty.
In the lesson that Doug sent out on the Sunday school, it said he took the problem as his own.
Say it again, I can't hear you.
He took the problem as his own.
He took
Right,
her
right.
He took
That's
her
right.
burden.
Right, he took the burden himself.
He took the burden himself. It just, everything he did. And he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was going to do. And the thing I took out of this, was he was showing the Lord just how much this kid meant. Think about this. He's been living with this kid for a while. You know he's been teaching him every day. I mean, you're living with a man of God. You know there's going to be some teaching going on. So you know there's a closeness there with that child. And to me, everything he violated in Jewish law was an expression of him showing how much he cared and how much he wanted something to be done. And he knew there was only one, I'm sorry?
And how he had grown in that period of learning, that he had boldness. God gave him boldness, even though he had boldness before.
Right. It's a different boldness.
It's a different boldness.
Right.
That was like a almost arrogant boldness when he went to, laughing at the priest and everything.
Yeah, right.
But this was a different
Right.
boldness.
I agree.
This was, I know who can fix this.
That's
Good point, Melissa. That's good.
That's good. I know who can fix this, and I'm going to go have a conversation with him. I'm going to go talk to the Lord. And the Lord will listen to me.
I started to say that, I started to say that when he went into that room with that boy, I started to say he went into that room with that boy not even knowing whether the Lord would heal him up or not. I don't know if I agree with myself. I cut myself off because the first thing that popped in my mind, because he knew without a doubt that the Lord could raise him up.
Right.
He knew he could. And because of the boldness, but the first thing that popped in my mind was when Abraham took Isaac up to the mountain. And he read the story, okay? Because you can preach for years on those verses. He takes the son and leaves the servants at the bottom of the mountain. Okay? And what does he say to the servants when he takes the boy up to the top? He said, "Stay here. Me and the lad will be back.
We'll be back."
We will be back." Okay? He knew. He was going to go through the trial, but he had enough faith in the Lord. They used Abraham as an example. That made me think of that too.
Yeah.
When God was fixing to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, what you always want to have in your life, there's a couple people that you always want to have in your life. You want to have a Barnabas in your life, okay? And you want to have an Abraham. Because he said, "Don't kill him. If I can go in and," I'm going to just use numbers because I don't remember the exact numbers right now. "If I can go in and find at least 20, will you spare them?" God said, "Go ahead." Come out and couldn't find 20. Well, if I can find 10, if I can find 5. God kept saying, "Go on."
If I can find one.
If I can find one, and he was speaking specifically of Lot. And who's the only one that got out of there? Lot. I'm going to stop now. His wife didn't quite make it.
Just had to look back.
She had to turn around and look.
One
She
more
couldn't
time.
look in the rearview mirror. She had to turn around and look.
Yeah.
I bet she'd turn us on anyway. She looked in the rearview. Did we have anything else to read?
Yes, let me finish real quick. So, and the Lord heard the voice of Elijah, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. And Elijah took the child and brought him down out of the chamber into the house, and delivered him unto his mother. And Elijah said, "See, thy son liveth." And the woman said to Elijah, "Now by this I know that thou art a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in thy mouth is truth." Who got lessons here?
Besides Elijah?
Besides Elijah, who got taught a lesson here?
And the son has a testimony now.
Son's got a testimony. Mama learned a lesson.
It says in our study, the woman gained an invaluable spiritual knowledge from the trial. First, she learned from the experience of hosting a true servant of God in her home. It took the resurrection of her son. I can use that, right? That's good. I go with. I don't have Tony here. It took the resurrection of her son to realize I've really got a man of God in my house.
I mean, think about that for a minute. I don't know how long Elijah was there before this happened, but she's been witnessing a miracle at least twice a day. Every time they go get the meal and every time they go get the oil.
Well,
It
we
was
weren't like
just
that.
there.
We weren't like that just because she just took it for granted now that it was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see a miracle, that's going to get you saved from now on.
It should get your attention.
It should.
Yeah. But it still didn't sink in with her. It does now, or it did after this.
It says second, she gained the knowledge of the veracity. I didn't think I could say that word. Of the veracity of the promise of God, which provided the last source for growing in faith. The veracity, if I understand veracity correctly, that veracity was shown to her through Elijah. Just the fact that he jumped up and
He acted.
if we're
The thing he did was he showed there was no pause. There was no doubt in Elijah's mind. He demonstrated that. There was no pause. He took the child. He acted on it immediately.
he had complete faith.
He had
and
complete
he had
faith in
complete
the
faith
Lord.
in what he was doing. When we hesitate, it's not when we hesitate. I guess the question is, why do we hesitate? Why do we miss the opportunities?
Hesitation is doubting. Hesitation is doubting the Lord.
When that little dark-haired girl back there, his name is Bailey. Way before Bailey was born, her aunt, we would go, the house that we lived in had there was like a community swimming pool and stuff, so we would go down there. And we might have been 2 or 3. And her dad was teaching her how to swim. And if you take a child that's that young, they don't really have any fear.
No.
You know? So not only was I teaching her to swim, but she liked to jump off of the diving board. You know why?
Because you were gonna catch her.
Dad was going to catch her. And Dad left the pool. And all I heard was Mom say, "Babe, she's on the board." I hit the water just about the time she hit the water, and I caught her. She had no doubt. No doubt. Elijah had no doubt. He had no doubt when he went up to that room. He knew what he was going to that room for, and he knew the healer. And not only healer, but resurrector, because he knew that I'm kind of like Melissa. I don't know that he knew that 3 years ago, but he knows it now. He knows it now. And I'd like to tell you, as we continue this study, that he's never going to have a doubt again. That would be a lie. That'd be a lie. Man, it was nice and quiet in here today.
It wasn't near as rowdy.
They can't help that.
Well, it's usually because we started, so.
Well, Mark says it's because he's
Mark's
7
pointing at-
too. Mark, you want to close this real quick?
My Heavenly Father, Lord, I do thank you again for another opportunity to come to your house, Lord. I thank you for my teachers, Lord. I pray you just continue to be with them, bless them and their families, Lord. I pray you be with my pastor, Lord. Give him the words you want us to hear today, Lord. And I pray you be with the praise team today, Lord. They have some new members today. Lord, I love you and I need you, and I ask this in Jesus' name.